Hey guys, Marco here, welcome back to another lesson. Let me show you how to play the Latin chord progression that I was playing at the beginning of the video. Now I have to say I'm not a Latin music expert, but I do recognize that the rhythm that I was playing at the beginning of the video, it sounds a lot like the Bossa Nova. Now the goal here is to use the Bossa Nova rhythm without necessarily have to learn all these busy and difficult chords that comes along with the Bossa Nova style. For example, now obviously when we simplify the chords, they won't sound as good as the Bossa Nova chords, but it's a good way for you to really familiarize yourself with the Bossa Nova rhythm and some Latin chords. All the chords we are about to play will be played in the position 1, so they're kind of pretty easy to play, and we are in the key of a D major, so a lot of chords have open strings. So you can start with that, and then when you feel ready, you can just move on to more complex chords. Now the chord progression is very simple. We have a D major 7, bar chord on fret number 2, an E minor 7. We're gonna play this one with open 2, 2, open 3, and 3. And then the A dominant 7 chord, very simple, open 2, 0. Back to the D major 7. Then we have a D dominant 7 chord with open 2, 1, and 2, and the G major chord. And then the E7 chord, which is played like this. So it's open and nothing, 2, 1, 3, and open. And back to the A7. So I suggest that you take a little bit of time to learn the chords and come back here when you feel ready. Now we can break down the rhythm into 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the difficult thing is the fact that we have to alternate the bass. So for the first chord, on the first count, we're gonna play the 4th, the 3rd, and the 2nd, and the 1st string together. Then just the top 3 strings. On the count 2, we're gonna play the bass note on the A, and then fingers, fingers. On the count number 3, we're gonna go back with the thumb on the D string, and we play thumb, fingers, fingers. And then on the 4th count, we play the A string again, and then fingers. So you have it like this. Now alternating the bass is really essential because we want to have the chord bouncing over 2 different bass notes. This is what is going to give you this nice Latin groove. Now the second chord, the E minor 7, is going to be played like this. You want to put down the G string open, the B and the E string for number 3, and the bass is going to be played on the low E string, on the A string fret 2, on the D string for number 2, and back to the A string for number 2. We have the same rhythm, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. For the third chord, we have the A dominant 7 or the A7 chord, and here the bass goes like this. So this is pretty simple. You just want to put down the chord and play the bass on the 5th string, 1, then the bass on the D string, A string, and the D string again. And we go back to the D major 7, which we already learned. Now from here we're going to move on to the D dominant 7 chord. So we're going to change just one note from here. We're just going to lower the B string fret number 2 to the fret number 1. And we have this beautiful chord. So it's the D string open, fret 2, 1, and 2. Now the rhythmic pattern is the same. We're just going to have to change the chord shape. And so now for the G major chord, we're going to have 3 different bass notes. So we're going to start with the regular G major, just the low E string fret 3, the G string open, and the B and the E string fret number 3. We pluck that simultaneously. Again, it's the same picking pattern and rhythmic pattern. So 1. On the second count, we're going to play the bass note on the A string fret number 2. On the third count, we play the D string open. And back to the A string fret number 2. For the fourth count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the next chord is the E7. This is probably the most challenging because it's kind of a little bit stretchy. And we're going to play it like this. You want to put down the G string fret number 1 and the B string fret number 3, which is the 7th of the E. And also the E string open. So we're going to start like this on the first count. Then we have the bass note on the A string fret 2 on the count number 2. And then the D string fret number 2 on the count 3, and then back to the A string fret number 2. So, and then we finish the chord progression with an A7. So I have this chromatic phrase, I really like it. So we're gonna play the chord like this. You have the A string, the D string, and the B string together. Then just the D string and the B, the bass, and then the B string fret 3, 4, and 5. Then the bass note again. And we play the top E string fret number 5. I use the index finger, but you can use the little finger if you want. So this is how we can break down the rhythm. I really think that, obviously it can be challenging because you gotta change the bass note, but at the same time, if you break it down like this, you will be able to play the Bossa Nova rhythm over simple chords. Now, to make things more interesting, we can also add a short melody. We're not going to add the melody on all the chords, just on some of them. So we're going to add the melody on the D major 7 chord. The rhythm is the same. We're just going to play half of the rhythmic pattern. So beat number 1 and number 2. And then the third one, we're only going to play the bass note. So on the count 3, we just play the bass. And then the melody is on the E string fret number 2, 3, 2, open, and 2. Then the E minor is the same. Now for the A7, same thing. 1, 2, 3, just the bass, and then we play E string open, fret 2, open, the B string fret number 4, and the E string open. And we go back to the D. Now for the D7, so same thing, 1, 2, 3, and on the E string fret number 2, 3, 5, and we go back to the G. For the E7, on count 3 we stop on the D string fret number 2. And we play the same phrase that we play over the A7 chord. So open, 2, open, 4, and open. And we finish with this phrase. So just the G string fret number 6 and the E string fret number 5. Then the top, bass, and then we go 7, 7, 8, 8, and 9, 9. Bass note again. So now we can finish the exercise by just playing a different chord progression. So we're coming from and we play E minor, A, D, B7, E. So I'm just literally playing the E minor 7 just for the count 1 and 2. So I only want to play together, fingers, thumb, fingers, fingers. And then I change to the A7 and I play the count 3 and 4. So it's thumb, fingers, fingers, thumb, and fingers. D major 7. On count 1 and 2. And then I play this new chord, which is the B7. Very simple to memorize. 2, 1, 2, open, and 2. And here I play the count 3 and 4. So thumb, index, thumb, fingers, fingers, and thumb on the D string, and fingers. So when I play it slowly, again the E minor, and the A7, and I finish with the D, A, and D. So just fret 2 and 3 with the D string, back to the A, with the A string and the G string for number 2, and I finish with the D. So this is how we can add a bossa nova rhythm over a simple chord progression. Really take it step by step, guys, and just learn 1 or 2 chords, play around with the rhythm, and then add more chords when you feel ready. So I'm gonna leave you to practice this, and I'll see you next time for another video.